Are you in full-fledged election alert mode? That's where I am right now. We're only a few days away.
You know, I was just saying before we came on that I'm really sleepy right now. by this time next week, oh my gosh, we're going to be, because it is so much that is happening right now, and I am excited. Is
it panic? Is it nervousness?
No,
is it
it's
excitement?
actually excitement.
Okay.
It's excitement. However, it's tapped down just a little bit because this one, if we don't get it right, I don't know if there's a chance of survival by 2024. Okay? I just don't know.
Stakes are high.
Stakes are high, and it's a real kind of, I'm not sure we're a constitutional republic in 2024.
But other than that,
it
should be fine.
But I also know, and as I'll lay out tonight, you remember when Biden won and he immediately came out and said, there will be no riots tonight. There's nobody out on the street tonight. Remember, and they had the website, to organize all these protests, and they said at 6 o'clock tonight we're going to be in the streets of Washington. And then he said, no. We'll show you tonight how that was called off. That was all planned, coordinated, ready to go. They called it off.
Okay, we're going to get into that tonight. It's going to be very interesting.
So I think that we're headed for a really tough 2 years. They're not going to give up. It's not like, the Republicans, we've learned our lesson. They're going to, do whatever they have to do.
Luckily, you're tired, but you have nothing going on between now and Election Day, where you'll be up until the middle of the night. You are going to Utah tomorrow, I think? Tomorrow,
in between the television show. I got to do a TV show, then the podcast, then I get on a plane and go right to, I think it's in St. George, to campaign with Mike Lee. Then I fly back to do the radio show in the morning.
What's your sense on the Mike Lee race? I mean, there hasn't been a ton of polling there. The latest poll came out, had Mike Lee up 10 or 11. There's been a lot of polls that show it much closer. Internal polling from the McMullen campaign shows him ahead, of course, which is always a surprise when you see that from internal polling.
I think, traditionally, I would think Mike's going to win by 10, 11, 12 points, okay? And I think that could happen, but only if people, and this is going to happen in every state in the union, only if people don't get arrogant and they're not counting on it, so they don't go, I was going to go vote, I didn't have time. Get to the ballot box. Get to the ballot box. Because I don't think the Republicans, my guess is the Democrats are going to stay home. They will underwhelm the polling places.
We've seen that in early voting a little bit so far.
A great deal, a great deal. So I don't think they're excited. And it's all about, especially on midterms, who's excited? Who's going to go out and do it? Midterms, most of my life, midterms have come and gone, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's right, that happened. I didn't do it. Now, this one, at least half the country, and that includes some people who used to probably voted for Joe Biden even, are now on full alert. They're like, this is a problem. And those people who are awake are motivated. The people who are just voting, like they always vote, they're not motivated. Even if you like the Democrats, you're seeing what's going on. And you're like, I don't want to vote for them again, and I'm not voting for the Republicans.
What is there about the culture of Utah specifically that makes this a close race? Why would they be interested in
Silicon Valley? Utah, in particular, there's a place between Salt Lake and Provo that is now Silicon Valley. All the high tech from California is moving into Utah. And the culture is changing a great deal. I love people who move into a place and like, so great here, everybody's so friendly, and the families, and there's so much to do with families, and you can trust everything. Let's bring everything from California. So the culture is changing there a great deal. And I think it's like this in any culture. When you have strong churches, you also have strong darkness. You know what I mean? So the people who are anti-Mormon aren't just anti-Mormon, they're anti-religious, okay? And that's a different breed of people. And so you have that. But what's shocking is how fast it is changing there. And I still just can't imagine that Mike wouldn't win. I mean, it's still a really nice place to be. I mean, you know, they're trying to paint Mike Lee as a radical. He still says, gosh. You know what I mean? Yeah. And golly, that was amazing. He's not a radical.
No. So I grew up in the Northeast, on the East Coast of the country. So the West is sort of like a foreign land to me. I don't really understand it. You've always talked about how it's so much different.
It's very different.
Talk about the Pacific Northwest a little bit, because there's two races there. We've got a Senate race in Washington that is uncomfortably close for Democrats, and a gubernatorial race in Oregon, which the Republican seems to be leading right now. What is going on up there? Oh.
The Pacific Northwest is actually there. When I was growing up there, and it's still part of the culture, there's this idea of Cascadia, that they would break off from the United States. Okay, you think Texas, you know, secede? No. It's not because they're super Texans who are even more American than Americans. These guys are Cascadians, and it's this real hippie kind of progressive socialist. Seattle has a statue of Karl Marx in Seattle when I was growing up, okay? It's crazy people. My father used to say the people who are too crazy for California move up here, okay? And what's happening right now, I think that because it is so crazy in those particular places, in Portland and Seattle, and I was just up with my aunt and uncle who live just south of Seattle, and you know, they've lived on the same street my whole life, in the same house my whole life, and they're like, you don't, no, you don't go walking around the neighborhood. It's changed, and crime is really affecting people. All of the regulations that Washington State puts on people, it's making things 100 times worse. And the policies are verifiably nuts now. And it's not like these are new ideas. Hey, let's reimagine the police. Okay, I'm reimagining. Now that we've had the gunfire during the reimagining, we all go, I don't think we should reimagine. And so I think that's what's happening. There are enough people that, you know, like the earth and everything else, but they don't want to tube everything to save the salmon.
Right. That's interesting. Because, I mean, it seems like that was so fully embraced for such a long time.
Right.
But maybe reality hitting people in the face.
And in Oregon, you got to remember, half of the state, in fact, if you would cut it up, do you know what Idaho looks like? It kind of comes down like this, and then has a big block, and then kind of goes up. If you looked at Oregon, and you could cut away the red part, it would only be a little sliver right on the coastline up towards the north. So Oregon, if you cut out all the red, it would just cut out that little slice, almost look like a reverse of Idaho. Just cut out that little slice. And that slice, that bigger portion of Oregon from the ocean all the way to the mountains in the lower half, and about 3/4 of it to the Idaho border, want to break away from Oregon. They're talking about becoming Greater Idaho. And it's serious in both states. It's serious.
It's a very strange time. Actually, I was thinking about my next question, and I realized I have this sitting right here, which is damaged.
I gave it, and it's damaged. It
is.
It was a gift from me, but it's
a photograph of a framed photo of the moment Andrew Cuomo stepped down from office that Glenn gave me when this actually occurred.
I think you played a big role in this.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. His replacement, Kathy Hochul. Now, Kathy Hochul, who was, I mean, look, part of this administration during all of the stuff that went on with Cuomo, now is in trouble. Are you a believer in Zelmentum?
I actually am. I read an article today in the Jerusalem Post that was from a New Yorker, diehard Democrat, and said, look, I didn't realize how deep this was going. She said, but I think New York City is starting to flirt with republicanism. I know. Pum, pum, pum. She said, I was in the hospital for a week, and she said, I couldn't sleep at night, and I was right across from the nurses' station. She said, so I heard all these nurses talk. And she said, some of them are diehard New Yorkers, others are immigrants. And she said, they were bashing the Democratic Party like they were a group of Republicans. And she said, and they weren't Republicans, they were Democrats. She said, something is happening here. And that's the sense I get from friends in Seattle area too, that something is in the air where it's changing. If it doesn't change hard this time and we make it, I think it will change, because they're living in Fantasy Island now. Everybody knows. When Hochul is saying, I don't know why Zell is talking about crime. There's no crime. And like bullets are flying behind her head. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Everyone knows. They've asked you to deny so much, but I think the average person sees the results and is like, that's not working. And I can't deny that.
Yeah, reality is hitting people in the face.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be sure to see similar videos from Blaze TV, with the added bonus of signaling YouTube that your voice and opinion still matters. And if you're looking for more great conservative content, check out one of the 2 videos suggested here.